this is Sierra Nevada, and welcome to another video. Today we are doing another short story based on, well, actually it's featuring 3 YouTubers, and it's my own original story featuring NettyPlays, IntheLittleWood, and Solidarity, also known as Netty, Martin, and Jimmy. Yeah. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and hit the bell so you know when the next part is coming out, because yes, foreshadowing, there are going to be cliffhangers. And, yeah, cliffhangers. Let's get going. Also, feel free to comment down below any theories you might have. Just, yeah, that'd be fun. Yep, this art is my own. I created it myself since no one else would do it. I was like, alright, I'll just do it. Let's get started. Netty. It was a calm and peaceful day, the sun shining brightly onto a small cottage in the heart of the woods. There was a path that led to the cottage that went off to the nearest town, where the inhabitants would normally go to get food and supplies when they needed them. It appeared to be what looked like a one-floor wooden cottage, decorated so as to blend in slightly with the surrounding trees. There was smoke billowing gracefully out of the chimney, which poked out of the sloped roof as the smoke vanished from sight as soon as it hit the atmosphere outside. The cottage could easily and comfortably house the 3 friends who found themselves living within its cozy brown walls, having 3 bedrooms, a bathroom, and even a small living room and kitchen in the house. There was no dining room, but the friends didn't feel that they needed one. After all, the living room was just fine as a dining room. On one lovely afternoon, the 3 inhabitants could be found in the living room, the fireplace crackling quietly as the 3 friends talked about many topics. Going back and forth, jumping from one to the next. Simply enjoying each other's company. How long do you suppose this cottage has stood for? A tall man with dirty blonde hair and big, bright blue eyes asked. He fidgeted with one of the sleeves of his royal blue t-shirt with a Captain America shield on it. So, it wasn't too hot in the cottage, but it was a little warmer than it usually was. Probably not long, Jimmy. Another friend said. He was slightly taller than Jimmy, with bright blonde hair that almost looked white, and the brightest blue eyes, the color of ice that pierced even the darkest corners. Maybe 5 years or so? That's pretty neat, Jimmy said matter-of-factly, speaking that we've only been here for about 6 months. 6 months is an awfully long time, the second friend said simply. But the third friend wasn't paying much mind to their conversation. Instead, she was gazing into the fire, her mind wandering as she thought of other things that they could be doing. They could be hiking along the trails, playing hide-and-seek together. They could be creating a brand new sport just for the fun if they even wanted to. Oh, she didn't mind simply sitting there, cozy, warm, and content. She did feel the urge to go outside and run around. Be outside in the sunshine, soaking in. What's on your mind, Eddie? Jimmy asked her as she jumped, looking up towards her friends, who were sitting in their own crafted chairs that they had made. Since there had been no furniture when they moved in, they had to make their own. But she hadn't minded it at the time. None of them did. Especially since the end result was quite comfy, far comfier than anything she could have found in a store furniture shop, and they lasted far longer than those accessories, which was a much welcome bonus. Nothing much, she said with a shrug, tossing back her wavy shoulder-length brown hair out of her face as she managed a small smile. She was shorter than the two of them, sometimes had to rely on them when it came to getting things from places, but it wasn't so bad. They were friends, after all. That's what friends did. It's just a very pretty day outside, and we're stuck in here when we could be out there. Yeah, I get that, Jimmy replied, glancing over to his other friend, shook his head. You heard what our visitor said this morning. There's a high chance that a storm might come in, and it's not safe for anyone to be outside today. I know, Martin. Nettie sighed. But it was only this morning. The weather can change, you know. Jimmy jumped. It sure can, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, she replied, as she gazed over to the fireplace again, the golden yellows and timid oranges catching her deep brown eyes, as she took in the scene occurring before her. But as she sat there in silence, as her friends continued on their conversation, she couldn't help but get the feeling that someone or something or someone was watching them. Watching her. She looked up from the flames and over to the window that opened to the outside. There was nothing but trees, blue sky, and one small cloud in the sky. It wasn't big, but it did look rather fluffy and white, like a soft pillow. She pushed the thought aside as she went to stand up, wanting to head somewhere a little quieter. But as she stood up, she suddenly felt lightheaded and dizzy as the world began to spin. But before she could fall, Martin caught her. You okay? He asked. Whatever conversation the two of them had was halted, and she couldn't help but see the concern in his eyes. I'm fine. Just got up a little too quickly, she replied, feeling tired as she said it. Okay, Martin nodded as she pulled away from him. Let us know if you need anything, okay? I'm just going to my room, she said with a chuckle. I feel awfully tired all of a sudden. Get some rest then. We'll be here if you need anything. Martin assured her, with Jimmy agreeing quickly behind. I'll be fine, really, she said quietly. She excused herself and went out of the living room and down the hallway, coming to her bedroom as she opened the door and closed it. The room looked just as cozy as it did everywhere else in the little cottage. There was a window that opened to the outside and a cozy bed in the corner next to a nightstand that one of her friends had grabbed for her, so she could store things in it other than just a typical chest. It was a warm brown color with a dark gray rug on its center. She went over to the bed and put her hands on it, feeling the soft mattress as she stood there for a long moment in silence. But before she could climb into the bed, the feeling returned as a chill ran up and down her spine. Seemed like someone was watching her. But who? Why? She was alone. Well, at least she was sure she was. She peered out of the window, but didn't see anything out of place, or any sign that someone was out there. Was one of her friends trying to play a little prank on her? She wasn't sure. Something definitely didn't feel right. But as soon as the feeling had started, it had faded away. Her mind now at ease, as she pulled back the covers of the bed and climbed in, pushing the thought of someone possibly watching her as she slept aside. It was awfully creepy, and all of this was probably just a figment of her imagination anyway. There was nothing to worry about. She was safe. Her friends were close by. Nothing bad could happen to any of them. After all, they were only 3 people out of many, and they lived pretty far out. Not many people knowing that they lived here. She had nothing to worry about. That was the last thought in her mind as she drifted off to sleep. Okay. Martin and Jimmy talked with each other for hours, not really thinking about what had occurred hours earlier when their friend had wanted to go to bed. After all, she had looked pretty tired, and no doubt she wouldn't deliberately try to go outside to get some fresh air. She knew it wasn't a good idea, especially if there was a possible storm. Though Martin supposed that the possibility of one was steadily decreasing. Nettie was probably right. The storm probably wasn't coming. but it was always better to be safe than sorry. The friends continued talking as the sun slowly began to set, and the twinkling stars of the night began to appear. A cool breeze washed against the cottage, causing some of the boards to shake slightly, but not too much. It was fairly faint, enough for the two of them to hear. It looks to be getting late, Jimmy said thoughtfully as he finally looked out the window. Its darkness cast an eerie shadow over the trees, creating more dark shadows as well. It could just about see the moon start to peek over the horizon, its silvery gleam reflecting through the window, casting a small beam of light on the polished hardwood floor. "You're probably right," Martin said as he stifled a yawn. "We should probably get something to eat and call it a night, and..." "Should we wake up Nettie and give her something?" Jimmy offered suggestively. "We can leave her something on her nightstand to eat later," Martin offered. "She needs to rest." "Probably fair," Jimmy said as he stood up, and Martin followed shortly behind as they went into the kitchen. Jimmy prepared a plate for himself as Martin worked on one for him, and he would give this to her before he went to bed. Once the two friends were done making and eating their meals, Jimmy went to call it a night as he walked towards the bedroom. Martin hesitating before picking up Nettie's plate of food excuse me, as he walked down the hallway until he came across Nettie's bedroom. He paused for a moment before opening the door, walking into the room to find her sleeping soundly on her bed. He quietly walked over to the nightstand and put the plate of food on top of the flat surface, looking over to see the peaceful expression of sleep on his friend's face. He managed a small smile as he began to walk out of the room, quietly closing the door before he heard movement in the room. "Martin?" Nettie's voice called, tired but awake. The man opened the door again, as his eyes met with hers. "Yeah?" Martin asked quietly. "I didn't sleep through the storm, did I?" she asked curiously. "No, you didn't," the man said with a chuckle. "I made some food for you. I didn't want to wake you." "Thanks, Martin," she said with a smile, as she took the plate and quietly ate the food. While she was doing so, the young man walked the rest of the way into the room and closed the door, only leaving a crack as he approached her. "Tastes good?" Martin asked as he raised an eyebrow. "It is good. Really good," she agreed with a smile, handing him an empty plate. "That's good," Martin said, returning the smile. "But you should probably get some more rest. You don't look tired." "Do?" she asked with surprise. "I honestly don't feel tired. Just cold." "Cold?" the man asked. "I can get an extra blanket if you want it." "No, I'm fine. Martin. Really, I'm not that terribly cold. I can live with a little bit of a chill in the air." "Well, let me know if you need anything," Martin replied quietly. "I will," she assured him, as he bent down to give her a kiss. "Good night, Martin." "Good night, Nettie," the man said with a smile as he kissed her gently on the forehead. It was only slightly warm, but he assumed she would be fine with a little rest. Aww. He got up and went over to the door, looking back to see Nettie crawling back to bed, wrapping the sheets around her as he smiled, leaving her to go back to sleep. She closed the door behind him and walked back towards his bedroom. He entered his bedroom fairly quickly as he closed the door behind him, eager for a new day. Hopefully, the storm would pass, unless it woke him in the middle of the night. Storms tended to do that sometimes, if they were fairly destructive, but he had a feeling that this one would be a relatively peaceful night. They would probably sleep through the storm if there was one. They were that tired, probably. Sure. Martin climbed into bed, pulling the covers over him, and he closed his eyes, slowly but surely drifting off, not finding it hard to sleep in such a soft and comfortable bed. When he had crafted himself to bed, his need was perfect. All this was, and he wanted it no other way. Nettie. Nettie woke with a start, as a flash of lightning lit up her bedroom, a roll of thunder causing her to snap her eyes open in both shock and confusion. After letting her racing heart relax, she could hear the sound of rain pounding rhythmically. Whatever, on the rail. Its firm pitter-patter, something that would have been relaxing. If it weren't thundering and lightning outside, there's no question to it. Normally she wouldn't mind so much, but it had been barely loud enough and close enough to startle her awake out of her dream. She sighed as she sat up, rubbing the sleepers out of her eyes as she looked around her empty and dark room, trying to remember what snippets of the dream she had only moments before. But all she could remember was feeling that someone was behind her, sneaking up on her, getting closer and closer. She had been unable to run, hide, or get away from whoever it was. She couldn't even have turned around to see who it was. Except she had woken up, partly creeped out by the dream and relieved as well as terrified of the thunder. She pulled back the covers as the rain pelted harder and harder on the roof of the cottage. Glancing out the window, she saw a sheet of rain pouring down on the trees and ground outside. At least she was nice and warm inside, not drenched by that awful storm. As she put her feet on the hardwood floor, she pondered whether or not her two friends would have been woken up by that roar of thunder. Probably not. They were probably sleeping right through the storm, having no idea what was even occurring. She saw another flash of lightning outside, heard another clap of thunder that shook the earth beneath her feet as she went to get up. Rise to her feet. That's a little redundant. Planning to get a quick late-night snack before trying to go back to bed. It wouldn't take long. But when she went to her door, she noticed something seemed off about it. The door was of spruce wood, its design and detail barely visible in the darkness. But when she went to feel for the handle, she only gripped empty air. The doorknob just disappeared? How was that possible? She went to shove the door open with her shoulder, but it didn't budge. Another clap of thunder rolled across the landscape, and she went to push harder. Should she call for one of her friends to help her? Would they believe her? Or was she just imagining this? Don't worry. I assure you that this isn't just a figment of your imagination, little one, a voice said from behind her. She whirled around to see a tall man in a midnight black cloak, his dark gray eyes gleaming with intrigue. His hood was up, which was hiding most of his face, but she could see a sly smile on that expression. Who are you? How did you get in my room? She demanded, trying to shove the door open again before giving up. It was no use. She wasn't strong enough to force the door open. I have my ways, the man said slowly. Smooth as silk as a smile. I have taken quite the interest in you, Nettie. How do you know my name? She asked, horrified. I know far more about you than you realize, the man said, licking his wrist softly as the darkness in the room grew. The storm seemed to be silenced, drowned out by the weight of sound. But there is no need to feel afraid, my dear. I'm not planning to do anything as of yet. All I want is one thing, and one thing only. And what is that? she demanded, noticing the man taking a step closer. Should she cry out for help, scream, demand his man to leave her room, to leave her alone? I want you to come with me. That is all, the man said with an amused smile. I have something in store for you, Nettie. Something you don't want to miss. I'm not going anywhere with you, she replied, sounding far braver than she felt. What would this man do if she tried to scream? He was too far away to grab her, but that didn't mean he didn't have a trick or two up his sleeves. I don't think you have much of a choice, my dear, the man said with a mild tone, and he flicked his wrist again, and she gasped in surprise as something invisible lifted her off her feet and carried her towards the man. She struggled against the strange force, but it held tight to her, not wanting to let go. What? Jimmy! Help! She cried, struggling as the man grabbed her out of the dark, invisible shadow and gripped her tightly to himself. There's no use in calling for your friends, the man said, chuckle. I can't hear you anyway, much less get to you. You don't know my friends, she said boldly, trying to grab hold of anything that might help her get out of this man's possessive grip on her. I know far more about you than you realize, both you and your friends, a cold voice whispered into her head. Same cold voice, the man spoke. Was he reading her mind? How was that possible? What did this man want with her? Please, I'm not the person you want, I swear, she said, trying to push the impossibility of the former thought out of her mind. The man could possibly be reading her mind, controlling her with his thoughts. I assure you, my dear, it's true. You have been getting away from me until I get what I want from you. The man's voice said in her mind as she tried to shove it back. No matter how hard she pressed, it seemed to be pushing harder. What do you want from me? She asked quietly, her voice sounding small. She realized just how hopeless her situation was. You see, my dear. The man smiled coldly as he snapped his fingers and a bright light filled the room. An oval shape appeared from in front of them, blinding white light coming from within. She looked away and noticed what looked to be a gem strung around the man's neck. It seemed to be glowing a dark purple, almost looking like seeping with power. But before she could ask any more, the man led her through the light. She screamed as she slipped away, both from what she knew and her own consciousness. How long would it take for her friends to figure out that she was gone? How would they ever find her? What did this man even want with her? She didn't know. She wasn't sure if she really wanted to find out. As her world turned from bright white light to complete darkness in moments, and she remembered nothing. I'm afraid we're gonna have to end that episode there, guys. I warned you about the cliffhanger, and yeah, I'll be sure to get the next part as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, be sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below any theories that you might have for what may happen in the next part. I'm serious. It's fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you later. Bye.